right. Good day, little bees. Yes, that's what I call the people on my channel, all two people. Welcome back to another part of this seemingly never-ending podcast series, Stories from the Inside, where I interview some friends of mine, previous students, current students, about their experience with school. Last time we interviewed a teacher, now we're back to normal format with interviewing students. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Maeve Valentine. I'm currently a senior at St. Mary's College in Maryland, and I am a double major in English and theater.
Oh boy. So, all right, let's just get into this.
Cool.
Tell me about your school experience, just in general, elementary, middle, high, college, whatever you want to share.
Well, from first grade to 12th grade, I was in a Catholic school. All of elementary and middle school was at the same place. It was a combination. We had a uniform. We had, very strict teachers, no cell phones whatsoever. High school was a little bit more lax because, at my elementary school / middle school, there were such strict uniform regulations. You couldn't wear you couldn't wear a hairband on your wrist. You couldn't wear any kind of jewelry if it didn't have any kind of religious symbol on it. High school was a lot more lax. It still had a uniform, but we were allowed to wear different kind of jewelry. We were allowed to have our hair dyed. We were allowed to wear sneakers, And college has been very chill. Well, in terms of freedom and resources. In terms of workload, it's the least chill thing in my life, but
Understandable. College does up the ante quite a bit. Still think it's easier than high school, but that's my opinion.
Absolutely.
So tell me about your best teacher and what made them so good.
Oh gosh. I'd say my best teacher in high school was probably my English teacher, Miss McKinnon. She was a very harsh grader, for one thing, but also she was very accommodating and a very good listener. She was absolutely wonderful. And this was when I was having a very hard struggle with my mental health. One day, I just in the middle of AP Language and Composition, I straight up had a panic attack, and she took me out into the hall and calmed me down. And it was very refreshing to have a teacher care about me as a human being and not just as a student. And tied for the top spot is probably Professor Oliver, who is my SMP advisor and was also my creative writing teacher. Because she's the kind of person, when she compliments you, you really feel complimented, because it doesn't feel like you have to earn it, but when she does compliment you, you feel like you did earn it. It's not empty, it's not baseless. She really helps you play up your strengths, and that's especially why I've enjoyed working with her as my SMP advisor, because she is so supportive. And a good story about her, this semester, I signed up for an internship that she helped me get. And that was just way too much for me to handle, with classes, with my SMP, with all the clubs I'm in. And I was just exhausted. And one morning I accidentally missed a meeting with her. And she said, Maeve, you missed this meeting. Do you think we could talk a minute? Because I think that the internship might be just a bit much for you. If you want to drop it, it's totally fine. I will reach out to the people. And at first I was like, no, I can handle this. And after a bit of thought, I was like, no, I can't. And I emailed her okay, yeah, I need to drop this internship. And she's like, I appreciate you looking out for your health. Take a minute, drink some tea, watch something relaxing, go take a walk outside. Just take care of yourself. And I think that's what really makes a good teacher. Somebody who treats the student like a human being and not a grade or something on a checklist or part of their quota or something.
What a novel idea. Treating a student as a human being will give good results.
I know, right?
Um, I can confirm Professor Oliver is amazing. I have her for my Hocus Pocus class this semester, which is my magic class. Super cool class, super cool teacher. Every time I do a presentation, I'm like, this is a garbage presentation. I'm so sorry. Like, there's not enough information. Every time after I'm done, she's like, that was amazing. I'm like, why would you do that? So on the flip side, though, tell me about your worst teacher and why were they just so bad?
My worst teacher was my first grade teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, and this woman, I feel like she just hated children because she was like so rude to us for doing like kid things. Like every Wednesday we have this weird class called Library Enrichment. I don't know what it was about, but like the librarian from our school would just come down to our classroom and give us an activity. I have no idea. And I remember distinctly one Wednesday she gave us like a worksheet or something. And you know, there was like a line of teddy bears, like color in 5 + 3 teddy bears purple and 2 - 1 teddy bears green. And I don't know, I forget. But as soon as she left, our first grade teacher got up in front of the room and yelled, "You guys were incredibly rude. Every 5 minutes you were like, what does this mean? I don't get this." And I'm just like, we were asking questions. And on top of that, my ex-boyfriend also had her, and he told me about how a girl who, mind you, these are 6-year-old children, looked at his paper while they were taking a test. She moved her desk into the closet. And let's see. She threatened to duct tape a kid's mouth shut. She made me cry and then made fun of me for making me cry. And the coup de grace of it all, and I don't remember this super well, but if you ever ask my mother about this, she will rage for an hour straight. But every year, our school does something called the silent auction. And in addition to like gift baskets and like physical things you can get, you could also get like special privileges, like go bowling with the vice principal for some reason, or principal for a day. And one of the things that my parents got me and my brother, who was in 3rd grade at the time, was no homework slip. So, you know, it's exactly what it sounds like. You turn it in, you don't have to do your homework. Since the 3rd grade teacher didn't have a stick up her ass when my brother turned in his slip, she was like, okay, cool, you don't have to do your homework. So I turned in my slip. I didn't do the homework for that night. And then 3 days later, the teacher said, so where's your homework from this night? And I'm just like, oh, I didn't have to do it because I had a slip. No, you misunderstand. You don't have to turn in the homework the day it's due. You still have to do it. You just don't have to turn it in the day it's due. So I go to my mom, who is pissed because that wasn't advertised. And she talked to Miss Sayers, and Miss Sayers was like, that's just how it works. My mom was like, but it just said no homework. And my mom brought it to the principal, and she was so mad because this was just like a silly little worksheet that I didn't do. Mm-hmm. And so the next year at the silent auction, they properly advertised it like, no homework slip. Note, you still have to do the homework. Nobody bid on it.
Of course not.
Yeah, but she was definitely my worst teacher because she made me hate school. And like, I loved school up until that point. But yeah.
She sounds horrible. I've heard horror stories of teachers like that.
I was 6 years old, mind you.
Mm-hmm. My partner has had teachers like that. The teacher would rip up their art because it didn't look right or something. I'm like, they are in elementary school. Please stop.
Yeah, and something I used to do because I'm weird. I used to have these socks that would go all the way up to my knees, and I would like push them down and roll them so they were like in like a perfect little donut around my ankle, and I thought it was fun. And she would yell at me to like pull up your socks and wear them properly. Like, what is the harm in that?
You're distracting everyone with your donuts.
My donut socks.
Oh God. I'm just lucky I didn't have any teachers like that. I'm so glad. When I hear stories like that, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Especially not in elementary. I've had bad teachers. I had a teacher call the entire class a failure because we had earbuds. And I was like,
What?
but that was in high school. That wasn't in
Yeah.
elementary school. I'm like, at least we were at a point where we can just kind of shake it off and be like, oh, whatever, they're just dumb.
Adults are stupid.
Anywho, so were you in any gifted student programs, like honors, stuff like that?
When I was in high school, I was in honors English for the first 2 years, and then I was in AP Language and Composition, and I did okay in the class, but I bombed the test because I don't test well. And when I was in elementary and middle school, we had like lower math, average math, and advanced math. They were called different names, but that's what everyone knew them as. And I was in advanced literature because I am a nerd and a bookworm. So, yeah.
Okay.
And I was also in the National Junior Honor Society. I don't know if that counts, but it's something.
Sure. So what was your experience with all of that? The question after this was going to be about AP either way. So just kind of lop it all together. What was your experience in general with those?
Well, for my literature class, I honestly really liked it because, and when I say literature, I don't mean English, because English was, learning how to use grammar and diagram sentence for some ungodly reason, and I despised that class.
Yeah.
But I loved literature because, I loved stories, I loved poetry. I was not very popular, so I read a lot of books to make up for having no friends.
Right.
Yeah. And I couldn't really see a difference between the advanced literature and the average literature class, aside from the fact that we got a bigger textbook. But honors English, I could definitely tell that it was like a lot harder than regular English because I did not originally test into the honors class, and I transferred after first semester. My English teacher, Mrs. Huey Burns, who was also a very good teacher, she actually came up to me after one class and said, "Maeve, I think you'd actually be pretty good in an honors class." And I'm just like, "Wait, what? Really?" And at this point, I had very poor self-esteem, so I'm like, "You're talking to the right girl, right?" Like, but even though I had like very bad stress levels, I still did fairly well in those classes. And I really loved AP Language and Composition because even though the essays were murder, the books we read were really good, because I think that was the year we read The Scarlet Letter and Pride and Prejudice. We also read Test of the Dubervilles, which I hated, because for one thing, the book is dense, and for another thing, it's depressing. Like, my mom and I still have a joke about, Tess naming her baby Sorrow. Like, Tess, honey, I get why, but if that kid had survived, because she named him Sorrow when she was, like, emergency baptizing him, spoilers for a book that's, like, over 100 years old, but, like, if Sorrow had survived, that poor kid would have gotten so bullied for his name. But anyway, I really did enjoy that class. I hated the test, but I really had a good time with the class. And it was actually taught by Miss McKinnon, one of my favorite teachers. And speaking of, when I graduated, Miss McKinnon actually gave me this book, a book of Lucille Clifton poetry, because once I got accepted to St. Mary's, sorry, a bottle of Advil just fell off my desk. When I got accepted to St. Mary's, I really got into Lucille Clifton, and she gave me that book as a graduation gift, which was really nice of her. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm related to gifts, but not related at all. My fourth grade teacher, I think. So in her classroom, there was this dead pufferfish that her son was a scuba diver. So he got this pufferfish, and like, I don't know, there was a dead pufferfish in there, and I was really upset. I was and still am really obsessed with animals. So I like every day I was like, I love that fish, and she's like, oh, thank you. And then at the end of the school year, she was like, here. I'm like, what? And she's like, you get the fish. And I'm like, oh, I got the fish.
That's so cool.
That's now just sitting in my closet at home.
I got the fish.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, it was like, it's a puffed up pufferfish. It's cool. Yeah. The only other gift story I have is my art teacher, because I was a good student, senior year. Well, in high school, I had one art teacher, but I had him twice. But he gave me a journal each time, so that was nice.
I really like that.
Yeah. So how did your schools handle conflict or psychology issues? It's like bullying and stuff like that.
My middle school didn't handle it at all. We had one of those stupid no bullying conferences, and and since I was sort of like I'm not sure if I'm on the spectrum, but I definitely had a very hard time socializing when I was younger, and that mostly had to do with emotional outbursts. I did not get along with a lot of the kids in my class, and some of them like would pick on me. They would like call me names, and then when Facebook finally became a thing, they would like send me stupid messages on Facebook, like leave mean comments on my Instagram pictures, and like they just did everything they could to like get my goat and make me feel so crappy about myself. I don't know if that's like actual bullying or just like, you know,
I would say that's bullying. I'd say that's bullying.
Yeah. But I went to my teacher many times, and they just said, okay, we'll handle it. And they never did. The one time I can remember something did happen was when a kid who was like a couple years younger than me was, you know, probably like having a rough day or I don't know, and he threw a rock at me. And it hit my cheek. It could have hit my eye. And of course, since I was like, that kid could have blinded me, I went and told a teacher, and that teacher like brought the kid like to his homeroom teacher. That teacher brought him to my teacher, and that teacher made the kid apologize, which, you know, is decent. But yeah, and like, okay, so one time we were sitting at lunch, and this random like stupid guy in my class just comes up to me and like puts his arm around me, and I just say, get your arm off me. And all of the other guys just start laughing at me, and I'm just like, can I please have an adult come over here and tell these guys that I do not want to be touched right now? Can you please like tell them to leave me alone? And our cafeteria, we had 4 long tables, like one for first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and then they had the second lunch, and 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade had the first lunch. So we were all at like a long table, and they were cramped because this was a very small school. So I couldn't very well move to a different place without like having to force myself into like a different area. But so, which I was very socially awkward back then, so I didn't want to do it to like, you know, didn't want to bother anybody. So my school was very let the students handle it themselves. My high school was kind of different. We didn't have a whole lot of like major bullying that I was aware of. It was mostly just a teenage girl drama, which I did my best to stay out of. But I remember one time, and in truth, I probably should have brought this to somebody, but I didn't because, you know, I was stubborn. I had a panic attack in my first class, so I went to the nurse's office to, you know, calm down. And I was sitting there behind like a paper curtain, and something that my high school did was we were allowed to wear t-shirts or sweatshirts from either a college or the college that we were going to attend. And this one girl, she wore a sweatshirt that said Quigley Prep, which I don't think is a real school. But anyway, So I'm sitting there behind this curtain, and I can hear the girl and some of her friends come in. And my mom also worked at the school. She was the communications director. She took a lot of pictures for the magazine, for the website. And I hear this girl come in, and she says, "Oh my gosh, like Maeve's mom just stopped me in the hallway and said that my sweatshirt is not like within the uniform guidelines. Like, who is she to tell me like what I can and can't wear? Like, what does she even do here?" And some of the other girls were like, "Yeah, like the pictures she takes, they don't even end up like in the yearbook or anything." And like, one, yes, they do. Two, my mother is a very hardworking and wonderful woman who does more in a week than you have done in your entire life, madam. But what I should have done was either, one, pull the curtain aside and say, "Hi, I heard everything you just said," smack talking my mother, or I should have like brought it to an adult. But what I actually did, which I'm still impressed that I was able to keep this level-headed, I knew the girl had a free period when I had peer ministry, which is basically a free period. So I go and find her and say, "Hey, can I talk to you out here for a minute?" And I'm like, "I heard what you said about my mother this morning. I am not happy about it. I am not expecting an apology, but I want you to know that that was very disrespectful." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, if I had known that you were listening, I totally wouldn't have said it, because I actually do really respect your mom and everything she's done for like the LGBTQ Safe Space Club." And I'm just like, "Save it. I know that you are just doing this to not create drama, and I'm not here to create drama either. I just want you to, not talk smack about my mother." But yeah, so I wouldn't say that Holy Cross had a very let the students handle it themselves, but there weren't a whole lot of instances where they would need to like step in. So,
all right.
And here, there, I'd have to say there's no like bullying thing going on, but there is definitely a lot of Title IX stuff that needs to be taken care of. Because I remember I think it was my sophomore year, this guy transferred, and he just gave me all kinds of vibes. And I know he was on the spectrum, but that's not an excuse for like any of the things he did. For one thing, he wrote a play that was very racist, and he refused to admit that it was racist, even though it made so many people uncomfortable. And I wouldn't say he blamed them for getting uncomfortable, but he didn't like take responsibility himself. And then like the following year, he kept asking like me and my friends who were in the class, like why we thought of it as racist and to stop talking about it because it's giving him a bad name. And we were just like, "Can you stop following us? Because, you're giving us the creeps." And me especially, he took like, I wouldn't say he took like an interest in me, like a romantic interest, but he certainly took some kind of interest in me because every time like he got an opportunity, he would try and talk to me. And I'm very non-confrontational, but my body language would always say, "Get away from me, I don't want you talking to me." And he would sometimes come to improv, but he got banned for making a lot of people, including me, very uncomfortable. And something I did whenever he was around, I just went into what I called survival mode, where I just like look down at whatever is in my hand, whether it's my phone, whether it's my journal, whether it's a book, whether it's nothing at all, and I'm just staring at my hands. Just go right into survival mode, quiet until I sense that he is gone, and then I just continue. He came to improv, and I went into survival mode, staring like intently at my journal, like writing my sentence, yada yada. When he said hi to me, and then I sense, okay, his attention's not on me anymore, so I start talking to my friend who's sitting next to me. He says hi to me again. I go into survival mode again, and that happens for a third time until someone finally tells him to leave. The next night is Creative Writing Club, and we're supposed to meet down at the docks. I get there first, and a lot of people have shown up, and then he comes and like doesn't even greet anybody. He just looks at me and says, "Can't escape from me tonight, Maeve." And I pack up and leave. I go right to the theater because I had shop hours that night, and I start like ranting about it to my friend, and David Smith, he's like, "Do you want me to report that to Michael Dunn?" And I just say, "Yes, please." I report to Michael Dunn. I say, and the only option that I really have is a no contact order. And I'm like, I don't want to bring that much legislation into it. I just want him to like stop bothering me and to leave me alone and to know that things he's doing is wrong. But like a no contact order would just be like pointless paperwork that he probably wouldn't even follow. So yeah, I definitely think that the school could handle Title IX stuff a lot better than it does. So yeah.
All right, that's interesting because completely different experience. I also haven't been here when we weren't in lockdown, so. Also,
another thing, you're also a guy. I'm not saying it's impossible for guys to experience harassment like that, but the statistics are much lower.
Oh yeah, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you went through that.
Yeah, so am I.
It's weird because like I feel like they'd be better at Title IX since they talk about it almost all the time.
Michael Dunn does that stupid rap every year.
I mean, I went back home for the 4-day spring break, right? And I come back and there's like more posters about Title IX. And I'm like, what happened while I was gone?
I don't freaking know. I think it was because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I
think so.
And this school wants to at least pretend that it gives a shit, so... Yeah, I'm a senior, so I can get away with talking smack now.
Right. I love hearing how the school actually is sort of stuff. When I was in high school, I was the teacher's pet, so to speak. Yeah. So I would hear from a couple different teachers, like, what's actually going on and how the school isn't that great. That was fun. I liked those conversations with those teachers. So did your school do anything for equity? LGBTQ, race, sex, whatever?
My middle school? Hell no.
Your middle school doesn't sound too good.
It really doesn't. My high school did its best. We had an international day. Like we brought in like a mariachi band, which was really fun. We had all kinds of presentations and assemblies about Black History Month, which was absolutely wonderful, and Women's History Month, because we were an all-girls school, so definitely want to play up Women's History Month. For LGBT, that's a little bit more sensitive because we were a Catholic school, so people tended to be pretty divided about it. And my freshman year, I had a religion teacher who was very homophobic. And I didn't start questioning my own sexuality until my senior year after I'd already had her. But like that homophobia definitely like became internalized and like morphed into biphobia, which I still carry with me, not towards other people, just towards myself.
Right.
But also, when I was either a junior or a senior, my mother and Miss McKinnon, my favorite teacher, we came together and founded Prism Club, PRISM, not prison, like, because, you know, when you shine a light through a prism, you get a rainbow. And it was basically an LGBTQ safe space club. And I honestly didn't expect a whole lot of people to, you know, show up because this was a Catholic school. But, you know, people actually showed up and it was really nice. And it was really, like, comforting to have so many people who were either, like, questioning their gender, questioning their sexuality, or just allies, which I thought I was an ally at the time until I realized that, shit, I think I might be attracted to girls. And it was, you know, it was a really nice experience. And that's another part of the reason why I love my mother so freaking much, because she, you know, started that in a Catholic school of all places. And she could have gotten a lot of flack for it, but there were some people who just wanted to, you know, stick with the Catholic, you know, being gay is evil. And there were some people who were like, hey, I thought God is love and God is acceptance. So, yeah. So, yeah.
I like that. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I know, I think it was senior year of high school. Drama club was kind of the everyone in there is gay or questioning, right? So one of my friends in the drama club decided I'm going to start a GSA, Gender Sexuality Alliance.
Nice.
So, I think they started it that year. They had a decent turnout. I've heard. I interviewed them actually for one of these, and they said that they're actually doing much better. But when it started, we live in the middle of like hillbilly country, kind of.
Oh no.
So we got a lot of backlash and
Yep.
even death threats towards the founder.
Holy shit.
So that's actually, the story has a happy ending because the school actually did things about that.
That's
I'm very
good.
happy for that. But like, I wasn't a part of the club. I couldn't be. I was in way too many clubs and I was dealing with way too much AP and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But I was definitely there as like, I support this and I'm going to get you to get this club running. So I did as much as I could. I helped with the protesting. We got, one of my friends made little pins. Yeah. I dressed in the purple, gray, black, and white for Ace. I did as much as I could. Eventually just sort of stopped. I think the pandemic probably helped because now no one can do anything. But yeah, GSA going strong, and I'm very happy that there's that schools, even Catholic schools, are getting these services, and it's very important.
Yeah, we're dragging Catholicism into the 21st century, kicking and screaming.
Hey, however they come. We'll skip that question because now it's irrelevant.
Out of curiosity, what is that question?
The COVID reopening when Hogan was in March and nothing was ready.
Yep.
I decided to ask everyone what you thought about that, and people were very divided on that. But now we're at a place where it's kind of like it's better. I feel more comfortable with people going back. I guess why not talk about it? Do you have any opinions of that?
Well, for one thing, now that we have the vaccine, it's definitely going to make things easier, but I definitely think that we should wait just a bit more before like fully reopening, because even with the vaccine, you need a bit of wiggle room, especially when it comes to herd immunity and people who can't get the vaccine. Like they need to be able to feel safe out in the open. But also in terms of this school, I'm not coming back. I don't have any unless something goes seriously wrong between now and like 3 weeks from now, which dear God, I hope not. But I don't have too many opinions because I'm too busy worrying about graduating.
Right, understandable.
Yeah.
I know my high school, they started phasing kids in. They're not obviously fully reopened, but some people I know are going back for understandable reasons. I mean, like you haven't seen your friends in over a year. My partner is a senior, so obviously they wanted to go back so that they can try to have a semblance of a senior year. Apparently
that's why I came back as well.
Mm-hmm. Apparently they are doing in-person graduation, at least for the high school.
Oh damn.
So step up from what I had, I suppose. We did it was a drive-in. They videotaped it. They did a drive-in graduation thing. It was like 3 hours of pain, but like still.
I mean, that's something. And
it's something.
I don't know, maybe next year they'll do like a proper like full-on graduation for everybody. Because like that's kind of what we're doing this year, because they've invited back the seniors who didn't get a proper graduation last year, and we're having sort of like a hybrid thing. That's
nice. I'm hoping by next year that they can just do graduation.
Yeah.
I think personally I think the main thing that me and my partner in particular are missing is just the prom, because we wanted that dance. Of course, we're probably going to do our own prom at some point.
Yeah.
We were planning to do it last year when I was supposed to have my prom, and then we just decided against it, and we couldn't plan it, and things started going haywire. And then I left for college, and I was like, well, we can't do it now.
Wah, wah.
I'm sure we'll do it later. We'll do it when we're like 30 in our own home and be like, hey, remember 2020 when we didn't get prom? Oh yeah, let's do it now.
That actually sounds so wholesome. Like,
I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure we'll figure it out. But
yeah.
Second to last question. What's it like being a senior, in particular during hell?
Well, that's an oxymoron, because being a senior is hell.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like that COVID adds a whole lot of extra stress, but that's just because I'm usually pretty good about adapting and just sort of rolling with the punches. Even though I'm shit with technology, as you saw on Friday, I was able to, adapt to using Zoom, and it does suck that a lot of things have, been canceled and haven't happened, because, like, my family actually scored tickets to see Hamilton before this happened. I was so pissed that they closed down. I mean, I wasn't surprised, and I was glad that they were taking precautions to keep everyone safe, but I was like, I have been wanting to see Hamilton since I was a junior in high school, and we have finally gotten tickets now that I am a senior in college, and this horse shit happens! But yeah, I was very bummed, but as I am a little bummed about, not having like a graduation, and we're having like graduation in big old air quotes. But so I'd say that being a senior during hell is not a whole lot different than being a senior in general. Just instead of going to actual class, you sit at your computer and write fan fiction when your teacher thinks you're writing notes. But being a senior in general is, for one thing, terrifying, because so many people are coming up to you like, so what do you think you're going to do after graduation? Your guess is as good as mine, buddy. And like, there's that huge terror of the unknown, because like, I had this sort of when I was a senior in high school. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in college. I'm going to be like living on my own. I'm going to have to like go to my own classes, and like I have my own room and a roommate and everything. But now I'm just like, how am I going to be able to afford to eat? I mean, my parents are very supportive, and they're going to let me like, keep living with them until I can get my own place. Like I get a job, all that stuff. But I'm just like, how do I adult? So mostly there's that pressing down on me, and there's also the stress of like, did I finish everything that I need to in order to graduate? Is my SMP going to be done on time? Why the hell did my teacher give me a paper that's single-spaced? And also, can they give us a damn break for once?
A break would be nice.
Oh, that'd be lovely. But I definitely say it's stressful. So
understandable. I haven't been a college senior yet, but can confirm that being a senior in general, in high school senior was, don't want to do that again.
Yeah, neither do I. If I had to pick being a college senior versus being a high school senior, definitely pick being a college senior. Because high school, you got the SAT, you got applying for colleges, and I can't do that.
I had 4 AP classes in one semester.
Ew.
Yeah. Anywho.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Well, as I don't remember who I made the joke with, but it was like, by senior year, I hated myself more than I've ever hated myself before. So I decided 4 AP classes, let's go. I think I took 7 or 8 throughout the year. That wasn't fun,
man.
But it got me 3 credits for college.
Yeah, and you got to go to the National Public Honors College.
AP isn't worth it. AP is not worth it.
It's not.
It's not even like, oh, you might get. I don't even care about it's the stress that it puts you under, in the stupid test isn't worth it.
Yeah, and like we had IB students at my school as well, and the girl I carpooled with, she was an IB scholar, and I'm just like, why would you do this to yourself? Because like it looks good on a resume. Fuck a resume! Yeah, a resume is not gonna do any good if you've dropped dead from the stress.
Resume, mental illness. Why not both?
Holy shit.
Anywho, so final question, and this is just the general, like, this is my general wrap-up question. Do you have any other stories you'd like to share to the people who are listening?
Gosh, I probably do. It's just like finding a good one that would.
What stories or advice?
Well, I'm gonna give anybody out there who is either going to be starting college or has already started college, but it was given to me when I had just graduated high school from my friend Walter, who actually also went here. He was a senior when I was a freshman. So when it comes down to choosing between your work and your health, choose your health, because a week from now, that essay is not going to be here. It might matter in a few months, but it won't matter in a few years. If you push yourself too hard, you might not be here in a few years, and we don't want that. So prioritize your health over everything.
All right, that's it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, fair enough. So thank you very much for joining me and sharing your stories and experiences and all that. It really means a lot. Have a good day, you know?
You too.